what's lay some of the groundwork, or this would be a chance to, if there's something that you wanted to touch upon or make sure that the conversation or it would be included in it. This is your opportunity to
set a foundation.
Yeah, there you go.
No, that's fine. But I'll start with the first and very most obvious thing. Bright, really? Really?
I'm sorry. I thought the zombie might eat you, and I wanted to burn the zombie before that could happen.
I get it, but I mean, come on, like, no one likes getting caught in a fireball, right?
No, so you were in a really bad position, and I'm sorry.
If you ever need to land a fireball on somebody, I'm resistant to fire, so...
Are you, though, given the fact that you're basically dried up kindling?
Not quite that.
Well, I mean, I don't know whether his natural tiefling resistance, shall we say, has been altered any due to his change.
As far as I'm aware, it's still active. I'm still a tiefling.
Now, that's the biggest elephant in the room. Second, quite a large amount these tieflings. Four in commoners and one in robes. Some of the, those in the normal commoner clothing seem to have been bitten. So they may have been enthralled by a vampire. But on the one in the robe, there was nothing. No bites. But... oh. The thing that disturbs me is that the one in the robes showed signs of Ouija's worship, but of a darker variety than my own. Of the variety of an older, more ancient variety, of a more dangerous variety.
How ancient are we talking?
I couldn't give you an exact date, but it's old.
Like before Mesomasca's founding old?
Possibly.
Well,
that's about 400 and some years.
Celine, then, if there's nothing else on your mind, it sounds like we might be able to springboard over to Mordecai.
I do have one other thing regarding these people.
Okay.
All of these bodies seem to be twisted in some way. Longer claws, teeth. Something has changed them. And I have one other revelation, but I will wait to share that.
Very well. Then, boing, let's go over to Mordecai.
Well, I don't exactly know what to think of most of this. It's definitely like, okay, so if they're all kind of mutated in the fact that they have like longer teeth and claws and things like that, I mean, comparative to myself, maybe. I don't really have much in the way of claws, and my teeth don't really hamper anything, which is nice. I don't know anything about any of that. But like, that's weird. That's really weird. And the Ouija worship thing is that boggles my mind.
Then, unless there's anything else you wish to add, Mordecai, we can go over to Boggled Minds with Jade. Are you good, Coffee / Mordecai?
Yeah, I'm at a loss. I am confused and perplexed, and I maybe I'll just go make myself useful and go try and find Raphael.
Okay. Jade, boggle our minds.
Need I?
Yeah, you don't have to.
A very strange event has occurred, at least here. Well, perhaps strange. Jade kind of looks at her comb. The fact that she has one is maybe a mystery unto itself, but as she ends up doing so, she kind of thinks, and she's been in thought for a bit. It's a thought of purpose, more specifically of situation. She said something. She doesn't want to go home. And yet, along the trail they go. Weird things have been coming out of her mouth as of the past few months. She ends up wondering where she's been this whole time. What it's cost her. And she keeps looking at the corpse man that accompanies them. Mordecai, the dead thing. Well, the word abomination wants to leave her lips. It's though she wants to scream it from the top of her lungs. She's not sure why that might be. Still, she observes Celine going over the corpses, though has not yet discovered her findings. What she does know, more than anything right now, is that Tiba may be lost. And that means she might have to end up doing something extremely horrible. And the truth of the matter is that the rest of them, attached, wanting, everybody hopes for the best of ends, or even Celine may be doing it in a cold, removed, pragmatic methodology. Despite her emotional outbursts, she's always been the most pragmatic of them all. Bright. She might try to remain innocent. Maybe it's trying to cling on to something that was once lost, hoping to regain. That's admirable. So, if worst comes to worst, who would do the deed? So, Jade, convinced that this child that they were seeking may come across their path. Proof of that comes from Raphael. A party member Jade slew may have been an accident, but in the end, it was a sharpened piece of flint forged by her own hand that was pressed into his heart. And now he's back. And our master only knows why that might be.
All right. You stepped up, and you certainly you got our minds churning like gears here. Now let's go over and finish things up with Bright. And what's going on in Bright's world?
So this has been kind of a bummer of a day. All the news was bad. Peggy Sue got smushed again, and that was really unfair because she just wanted to go in for a look, and somehow they were waiting for her right by the chimney, and that's really weird because who guards a chimney? But apparently Raphael does. But And then, so I got her horn, and I'm hoping I'll be able to get her back the way she was, but if not, I'm sure I'll just be able to get her back, because at least this was just a normal smishing and not like a magic smishing that's sometimes scarier. But I hope she'll come back like a unicorn like she was, because the last time ended up buying a donkey, and I wanted a pony, and people wouldn't buy me a pony because everyone said I had too many ponies already, but now I don't have a pony anymore, and now there won't be any. So I really hope she comes back the way she was. And then also, I'm really sorry to Celine. I did not, I mean, I would not have set you on fire, except I knew that you were going to be okay. That's just my thing. So I'm still really sorry because there was a little more fire than I expected, but you're still okay. So I mean, I hope you understand. And also, I'm really kind of bummed at Raphael because, I mean, we really tried to give him a nice funeral. We had prayers, and we had little squirrels and field mice and things that I got for him, and we dug him such a nice grave, and we made sure to bury him with his armor and his sword like a paladin would want to be buried, and now he's gotten up walking around. It's like he didn't even appreciate all that trouble we went to. So I'm kind of cranky at him too, and I hope we can find him really soon. And I know Mordecai is a really good tracker, and we'll be able to find him right away. And as far as the zombie vampire things went, I mean, it's kind of weird, but maybe not, because if these were old, sometimes vampires, as they are older, they're closer to the primordial, and as they get farther away, they become more human-like. Sometimes if you see a really old vampire, it's like they just look like a big bat or something, whereas the newer ones are more human-like. So it's not that surprising that they might be a little different from the way Mordecai turned out. But that's actually good news, because it means Mordecai has more of his humanity, more of his tiefling manity left. And
It's fine.
oh, okay, I had a lot to say, but I'm done now, so thanks. Okay, bye.
Thank you, Bright.
Bright, darling. It's alright, I was just pulling your leg.
Okay.
I'm still alive, so...
That's a plus.
Whoa.
Here we are.
Oh, okay, no, the background music on, the background music on Roll20 cut out, like, really abruptly. I was like, whoa, did it just drop out or something? But no, it's fine. So... I'm going to bring up now what would probably be the largest revelation. Right. You said that you saw Raphael.
Just for a second, he just, like, as I was flying around, which was really fun, by the way, you should try it, but as I was flying around, I saw him just run out of the house, and then I lost track of him.
What did he look like?
It was kind of dark, and I didn't really get a really good look at him. I just kind of recognized him. Unless I know more than that. Do I know more than that?
Was there anything that stood out to you? You mentioned something. You mentioned something about glowing blue eyes, perhaps.
Sure. I mentioned that.
That was part of the thing.
Yeah, he had those. Thank you for reminding me. I was a little thrown because I didn't expect to see him up walking around, so I didn't really think about that until you reminded me.
Well, however unfortunate that may be, he's walking around now.
Yes, and this... I have a couple of theories as to why this might be the case, but with those blue eyes, one, and only one, stands out at me. Sometimes when a person dies before their time, they have regrets as they leave this world. And if those regrets and desires and wants are strong enough, someone might come back.
And like, as a ghost? He didn't look like a ghost.
Not as a... Sometimes as a ghost, but if they are strong enough and powerful enough, and they have a driven purpose, one might come back as a revenant.
What's a revenant?
A revenant is... how do I explain this? It's a very, it's a somewhat odd concept, but I will do my best to attempt to explain it. To put it basically, a revenant is something formed from the soul of some mortal who has met a cruel and undeserving fate. A soul that has crawled its way back into the world with one thing on its mind: vengeance.
Why would that be the case with Raphael?
I mean, I know Jade killed him, but it was an accident, and also there were plants. But he doesn't seem to be all that angry at plants. Or at Jade, because she was right here and he could have attacked her, but he didn't.
There could be any number of things.
Do you really believe then he would hate me so much as to crawl his way back onto the cogs, the wheels, and keep turning past his doom, spokes broken and all?
It might not be you. I said that a revenant desires vengeance. Not necessarily against the one who caused it to die, caused the mortal to die in the first place. It could be vengeance amongst any other thing, any number of things. It could be... If their god willed it, perhaps, although I never saw Raphael as much of a religious man.
Then how is he a paladin?
Paladins are fueled by faith in their beliefs, but their beliefs aren't necessarily tied to a god. I have met paladins who have sworn oaths to the very foundations of nature itself, to kingdoms and what they perceive to be the crown, to redeeming themselves after committing a grievous wrong, or to the very concept of vengeance itself against a thing, whether it be a concept, or a person, or a government, or anything else.
I mean, I know that there's paladins who are really focused on vengeance, but Raphael didn't really seem like that to me. He seemed pretty nice, and I don't think he had even sworn an oath yet. He done
might.
those things.
Well, if he had not sworn an oath, he had all the more reason.
Think he came back just to swear an oath?
I think he came back because his feelings, the ones that he wanted to put into the oath, were strong enough to do so. Now, the thing is about revenants is that they have 1 year to exact their vengeance.
Well, that's not very long. We can just wait for him to disappear.
A maximum of 1 year. But it very much depends on what it is that has caused him to claw his way back into the world of the living. I mean, and this is also assuming that someone hasn't performed some grim necromantic ritual on him, or but the wild magic in the area in which he was buried didn't take hold of his soul, and
So, remember there's a
we
thing
knew it was
though.
bigger.
See, in wild magic, they all go kerplody together. So, I mean, none of us know that does. We could experiment, but it might be dangerous.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, this isn't something that I ever did, but you know how sometimes there's kids who like to smoke in the bathroom, and sometimes they do necromancy in the bathroom, and that sometimes happens at wizard school. But I didn't participate in that. But I know people who did, and it's ooky. Somebody did that with caused an explosion, or maybe it was I don't know. I mean, but yeah, being in the wild magic, that's a thing for sure.
Perhaps we should end up leaving the speculation to later. Thus far, the facts are that he has become a revenant, something that is put to task. He will end up continuing to end up pushing along to make his quest fulfilled. The sooner we know more about that quest, the sooner we can intervene, if it is not in our benefit to simply allow him to end up continuing to task. It
I
might,
agree.
in fact, be to our benefit to do so, to just allow him to take his course. Either way, one way or another, it is a factor that we cannot make any assumptions on. I think we're all agreed upon this, yes?
I
Oh
agree.
yes, quite. One
We should
one
try and find him, I think.
thing, however, is that revenants are utterly unerring in their task. They cannot die. They cannot be deterred. They cannot be stopped. They are an inevitable force, and either they will succeed or fail.
So
I
if they-
think I think it would be in our best interest to, if the quest, of course, isn't a counterintuitive to or counterproductive to us helping him, we should.
Either
His
way,
soul is most likely in eternal torment, and the only way to free him is to help him complete his quest.
well, eternal for a year though. That's not really eternal.
perhaps the body, but
But if he
she was
fails,
speaking of the
what
soul.
happens to him then?
What happens to him then is of little consequence to what we are doing now. The truth
No,
of the
but-
matter is, go on, Bright.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, if his soul is in eternal torment, then that matters to me, even if it doesn't affect the world. But I don't know if there's really eternal torment. Is that really a thing? Because I
assure
don't want
you
that.
it is.
How do you know?
Jade sits and finds a place to sit, which I imagine is right beside Bright. And
There's room for it, yeah.
instinctually
Yeah.
she-
You can always sit next to me. There's plenty of room. I don't take up much space.
And Jade, with that same comb, starts to fix Bright's poofs, which have been completely drenched in the rain.
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah.
Are
It was
soggy as
terrible.
all hell.
The true tragedy of last session.
It is. It's the true loss. And as she ends up doing so, she begins to expound. Let me ask, Celine, have you ever considered, in your studies, you are aware that there are worlds beyond the ones we see now, right? Ones of spirits, ones of power, ones of damnation, law, order, all of this, yes?
Oh, quite, yes.
What do you think their purpose are as a whole?
I think of it as this. Our souls go somewhere when we die.
Mm-hmm.
Where that place, where that place is very dependent on how you were as a person during your life.
Mm-hmm. So, if you were one of conviction and wicked ways, you would find yourself in.
I'm not sure if Celine would actually know that particular piece of information. May I roll a religion check to
Sure, that's fine.
see if she knows that? That's the one. Ooh, that's a 19.
Okay. In fact, what I'll do is I'll grant you the 22, as I will chip in as I'm playing Dark Wolf, aka Noralai tonight. So beep boop a woo. As you're postulating the afterlife, Noralai can pipe up and say, I'm not going to steal your spotlight, Celine, but this is kind of to explain, I guess, further that her big brother told her that there's a very bad place that people go to repay for their bad behavior in their life above ground, and it's a place that she kind of like. By the way, she's kind of like cold and chattering her teeth because she absolutely soaked and she sneezes. And she said the things that the things that my brother told me about that place, the smells, the sounds, it was horrible. It gave me nightmares, and I never hoped to have to go through there. But supposedly, that's even the place where we're from. My brother and I, and even Mordecai over there.
Now, question with that 22,
Mm-hmm.
and given my research, would I know if this like the wizards and scholars and sages and whatnot subscribe to the out of character, I suppose I'd call it the planar wheel cosmology, or is it something a little bit less standard than that?
So to put to have a meta conversation with you all as DM to players, not as PCs. I'm fine adopting that other planes such as the Hells are not just a cautionary tale passed down through various faiths or philosophies, but it is even rumored that it is a destination that a mortal, for some reason, should they ever want to go there, could go there and experience it without being dead. I don't know why this is now kind of slipping a little bit more into character. I don't know why anyone would be so foolish as to do that, but some people have great power and they want to flex it.
And the magic required to go there would be unerringly powerful. But
like a wild magic zone.
Say it again. I didn't catch that.
Like a wild magic zone, perhaps.
More powerful, much more powerful, and it would need to be more focused than that.
Yes.
I mean, there's a really powerful wild magic zone out east of here. I mean, it's where there was a sky. They call it the Sky Rock, and I don't know if it's like an Earth mote or if it's like an asteroid. But either way, and it crashed there, and it caused all the wild magic.
Yes.
Oh, I don't have the greater Mesotopia. That's one of the images that crashed. I'm sorry. But you as players can reference your maps.
Yep. So. Sorry, Jade?
To elaborate a little further, now that you're aware, I want you to try and imagine that that itself is the very concept, the end, as it were, where you go, where you belong, where you are driven to. Ultimately, all of it is a very microscopic cog in a catastrophic plan.
Very, very possible.
It's not possible, Celine. It's true.
Then again, Jade, you have insights into unfathomable things that I do not.
Norlai pipes up amongst a couple sneezes as well, and she looks over at you, Jade, during this conversation, and she asks you, Jade, are you a paladin? From what everyone was talking about, I'm having some trouble understanding it, but it sounds like, well, you're strong, and you believe in things. You're very dedicated in that manner. Are you a paladin like Raphael?
Not like Raphael. If you wish to bestow me a title of such, it means very little to me, though I would honor to be given such a title. No, the individual who bore that title is not here. They never were. No, what I am is more akin, in fact, to what Celine is, if I might be so bold.
Your powers come from a god.
Not a god.
But some powerful being, nonetheless, I would assume.
Are you familiar with the, perhaps unlikely, but maybe you're familiar. Are you familiar with the name Shonaruth?
I want to do a check to see if that's something that's come across my path.
Sure. I mean, for the three of you, I mean, Mordecai, you've traveled, you've heard tales. Celine, you've read many a holy book, and Bright, I mean, look, you just read a lot of weird stuff when you're a wizard and you're going to school. I know you probably snuck to the forbidden section of the library. You can't fool me. So I can get a religion from Celine. Mordecai, I don't know, history, or do you have something else that you wanted to run that through? And then Bright, you can give me an arcane.
That's a 22. Damn.
It's true that sometimes I went into the forbidden section of the library, but only because somebody told me the books there had really interesting pictures.
All right. Whew. All right. So we have a 22, a 23, and a 22.
We are knowledgeable people.
All right. At the invocation of this name, it occurs to each of you separately, and then perhaps together. You all can roleplay through that. You've heard that name. Now, you've forgotten it, but it sounds familiar. And it sounds maybe just, I don't know, uncomfortably familiar. Like, almost like some people have words they don't like. Like, some people don't like moist. It's almost as if Jade just, like, went up and, like, whispered ASMR style, like, moist in your ear when she invoked this name. So you're getting a little bit of an emotional tingle, and each of you in your respective spheres have heard mention of this name, though beyond recognizing an existence, they're just, but why, where, what was it connected to? It's fuzzy, with the exception of each of you have heard apparently this name, and it gives you a shiver up your spine, and that's not just the cold spring rain. Although Norlai does also sneeze and wipes her nose.
I have heard that name before.
Just not sure where.
Everyone knows it. No one will speak it. No one
Not
knows they know it. But everybody knows it's a thing.
Yes, definitely not a thing that I would imagine I would ever hear again, but that is fine. What I was going to say, and Bright, I'm sure that you might have seen this before. And Celine's going to take out a piece of parchment and an ink and quill. And she's going to basically draw what sages and scholars and academics alike think that cosmology is. Basically, she's just drawing the wheel with the material plane as the center and
Okay.
each of the places. And as far as the very, very big ones are concerned, she will speak a tiny bit about it, and she's like, as far as I have read and what sages believe, she points to one of the symbols that she has drawn on the lower half of the wheel, and she says, "This here, the 9 hells, as it's called by sages and other such beings, is purported." I can't say yes or no because I am not I am not one who say is a practitioner of the planar arts. But this here, and she gestures, it is called the 9 Hells of Bator. Or at least that's what I've heard it called. And whilst I'm not particularly sure, it is purported to be that the fiendish blood that runs through all tieflings originated with beings that come from this place. She'll only point to 2 others in this wheel. She'll point to one a few away, and she says, "Now this is conjecture, very much conjecture, and it could simply be fiction. I am, again, not very sure, but this is a place that they call the infinite layers of the abyss. It is darkness. It is unfathomable. And unfathomably terrifying if anyone is to be believed. But I would say that anyone who would ever think of trying to journey to such a place, being strong enough with the kind of magic required to journey to a place like this and coming back, would definitely not come back the same as they went." And finally, and she points to one of the symbols on the upper half of the wheel. They call this place the 7 heavens of Mount Celestia, the birthplace of angels and all that is good and just in this world. Basically, what they say, where they say that you go if you've been a good person during your life and you die. That is about as much information as I can give you aside from the names of these other places. The rest of the origins of these places are things that are unknown to me, as it's not a subject that I've read too much upon.
Well, I'll tell you about this one. This one is called Bitopia, and it's right next to Mount Celestia, and it's really fun because there's 2 worlds, and one of them is stacked on top of the other, kind of just the way that gnomes like to build our cities, except that the one is upside down relative to the other. But neither one is upside down. They're both right side up, but the other one is upside down from the other one. And so you can fall from one to the other. But you have to be careful not to fall too fast. So if you go there, you should bring a parachute. And also, this is where gnomes go when we die. So, at least if you were a good gnome.
Well,
We all try to be.
I hope that is a comforting belief. Still, Bright, your hair's done.
Okay, thank you. Does it look like?
Yeah.
It is actually completely immaculate. You would almost picture this as the kind of thing you might wear on your wedding day, or it's obviously more mesomasculine than gnomish, but
It's all curling up and around.
oh, it's absolutely astonishing. Each curl actually bleeds into the next, and almost into a sort of pattern, and it actually starts to swoop back into the back of your head, almost like they ring around your ear.
Okay, so I'm going to take out my mirror because I have a mirror that I've had with me since the very beginning. It just doesn't come up very much. And I'm going to admire my hair. And I'm going to say to Jade, thank you so much. This is the prettiest it's looked ever since I came to Mazamaska. I had no idea you knew how to do this. And if you want, I know you cut your hair a little while ago and it looks nice. But if you want to let it grow out a little bit, I will do yours too for you.
Thank you.
We know.
It's been a long time. But to the matter at hand. At this point, let us focus while some of us still can. We need to end up going forward. Raphael, though maybe an obstacle, is not a priority, not for what we are about to do. But he is a consideration. Let us not get distracted. Do you remember why we are out upon a cart, along with a very handsome minotaur, I might add?
True.
Mm.
Do any of you remember?
Well, we were
I mean,
basically heading towards Oldport. We needed information regarding these.
just Old Port, but to Green Shield. We have to
And
go
to
to Green
Greenfield
Shield.
as well. Yes.
I
And
mean,
to
we have errands to run there, but we also have people to look for. Like, I would like. Do you think we can afford to spend trying to figure out Raphael? Because we don't know that he's gone far. Maybe he's just like right around the corner, and we would be passing him up. I would be willing to spend an hour or two looking for him. It's not like a whole day or like a whole week.
An hour or two sounds sufficient enough, because unfortunately, as right as you are, Jade, we can't let a possible revenant run around in the world unchecked. And if he bears no ill will towards us, we are more willing to help in his quest, we may be able to have his assistance rendered on other things that we need to get done.
True. Maybe he has vengeance against the same people that we don't like. I mean, we know that the vampires and the Fae don't like each other very much. So what if he's reanimated by one of them to fight the other ones? Like we know there's a truce, but there could be some faction that doesn't support the truce. And so in that case, he could be on our side, potentially, maybe.
And Revenant seems like it's a little out there to really as far as something that could have brought him back. Like you said, it could just be that he's been reanimated.
Yeah. And if he was reanimated by wild magic, then he could be doing anything. Although I don't know where he would have gotten zombie minions then.
Wild Matt. Did he summon them?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Is it Bright? Are you telling me this?
Oh, I mean,
Are you...
we fought zombie minions, so I mean, and they were with him, so he had zombie minions. I just don't know where they came from.
And they have bites on them.
It's true.
Or maybe the people who own this house.
We don't know whose house this is or was.
Well, it could also be that he was. Oh no, he was not afflicted with that. But there is something that strikes me as another option. And unfortunately, this one is much worse than the first that I posed you.
Are you
Worse than
thinking?
being a
What?
revenant?
Thinking?
What are you
Because
thinking, Brad?
where would you get giant shoes at this time of night? Also,
Allow me.
but also I was thinking he might Maddie's dying. I mean, there were certain people that we happen to be looking for who know where we buried him, and it's not in a graveyard, which means that body snatchers might want to come for it. Or, I mean, they were powerful people, right? They all had magic and powers and things. They could have come back for him after we left, dug him up and reanimated him.
Now, there is an issue with that.
And the family, or the party that they were with.
Magic. This is something that we read through theoretically in We Just Worship. It is something that we would never practice, as it is banned, but it is something that we read through to know the dangers of. Even the most powerful of necromancers, with the mundane in terms of magic, cannot animate something like that. One cannot forcibly pull the soul back into a body
And you're sure that
and
this
have
is
it be, how you say, working as it used to. There is a second theory that I have. Now, this is very much conjecture and very much out there, and I would hope for the very best that it's not true. But given his particular persuasions as a paladin, there is one mention in a book that I read of there existing a ritual that might turn someone of that particular persuasion into something unirrevocably vile.
Those are all vague terms. What does that mean?
Mordecai wants answers.
Bright, I'm very sorry if what I'm about to say offends your wizardly sensibilities, but in the necromantic arts, wizards, especially those who are exceedingly powerful spellcasters, if they so lust for power and are so willing to throw away their humanity, can attempt a ritual to remove the soul from their body and place it into an object.
Oh,
Such,
those.
yes. A similar thing exists for those of the paladin persuasion, except it doesn't remove their soul and put it into an object. It instead taints them with an unyielding darkness. I believe I only read the term in abyssal, as this is what the book was written in, the language of demons. But in common, it translates very roughly to Night of Death. Such people have the ability to command the undead if they so desire,
Oh.
and to summon up the powers of darkness. And if that is the case with Raphael, if someone, as performing a ritual like this on a corpse, could very well return the soul to it, if this was to happen, he would be irrevocably irredeemable.
So that makes it sound bad.
That's
Um,
very bad.
so,
Yeah.
I mean,
I
how
hope
much?
that theory isn't true.
Oh, because that sounds like it would be kind of a big deal. And if he's just like a revenant who's out for vengeance, and maybe he's vengeancing against someone we don't like anyway, then I can live with that. But if he's irrevocably evil and vile and all those other things, then I don't like that as much.
Noralai sneezes and asks you, Celine, isn't that the type of stuff your people do, though? Weren't you talking about that before? You worship death and kind of things like that, don't you?
The Crimson, it falls under the portfolio of the Crimson Mistress, yes, but it is not, and it is something that we learn about, but not actively practice. To actively practice such things is horrible.
Oh, you don't do it anymore?
No, we banned the practicing of more powerful necromancy. As an example, I myself do have the ability to breathe a semblance of false life into a corpse or a punch of bones, but not to return the soul. Anything regarding the returning of one's soul into one's body outside of a proper resurrection is heavily forbidden.
I don't know. I think that maybe going down the wrong track, because we know that were already created by like a combination of wild magic and necromancy, and we also know that they are in a wild magic zone. So I don't know. I think that that's probably what happened is just more along those lines, not so much like dens and horrible rituals and things. I don't know. Maybe.
Possibly.
Know us to find him. Should we?
Celine, isn't that guy in red, though? Didn't you say that he was like you? A Chew.
He worships Ouija as I do, yes, but his method of worship, his methodologies, the symbolism, the rituals are all much older than I perform. The nastier.
Are we looking at a cult here?
Maybe.
A cult or a splinter cell, perhaps?
Maybe.
And that is, I hate to use this word again, but heretical in nature. And I would very much like to convene with others of my faith, those who practice the ethical way.
No. I
Because
was always
the,
ready
the,
to-
Sorry, right? What was that?
No, I was just gonna say I was always up for going to the monastery, but I didn't think a lot of other people wanted to go. I know Mordecai didn't want to go, and I don't think Norlai wanted to go. And I don't know, Jade, did you want to go to the monastery? Has that changed? I mean, you seem to be feeling a little different lately.
Yes, I have been feeling a little different lately. Take it for what it is. I'm not sure on how long this one will last this time. But as far as moving on to the monastery, whatever ends up getting us close to our goal, I will support you in whatever decision you all make.
That or Old Port. We need to go somewhere where we can find information. If this is indeed a cult, then Old Port would be the better route, as they would have more knowledge of things more particularly pertaining to Ouijas and the former practices of the church.
Norlai speaks up. Yeah, didn't you say something in the library about that? You know, when we were all looking over books, I thought you said something. Like
A lot of the heavier necromantic practices were banned within the church, as they raised very large ethical concerns, even amongst those who study and worship a god such as mine.
wait, a monastery? Isn't that's a place where people go to learn religion, isn't it? And where they go to try and be better people?
Not necessarily a religion, but there is religious study involved. But monasteries are a place of spiritual enlightenment, whether it be through the religious sense or through the physical sense of honing one's mind and body.
Oh, well,
No.
then what if that's where my big brother went to? After all, from what we're talking about, he must be a knight. He must be a paladin like Jade. That he just wants to go and learn, and he wants to help people. He was going south, and I think he and Jade are kind of the same. So maybe Jade, you're a paladin, right? Would you go to this monastery?
I think Jade has something a little bit different in mind as far as the classification of both herself and your brother is concerned. But that's just
No, the temple of the Crimson Lady is where we need to go.
yes.
If that is
If-
where
if-
we go, that's where we're going to be. If I may.
If we
speculate.
if we do not find our answers there, we will then go to the monastery, as that is our second port of call, shall we say. But enough about conjecture for the moment. We have a couple of more logistical things to sort over. Mainly, this storm is currently coming down pretty heavily and could stay around for another few hours yet. Are we going to stay here? No, I heard you, Derek. You
Yeah.
said that, in character, that, going to the, temple of the, Temple of the Crimson Lady is the way that we should go, as it's the first protocol of knowledge.
No, that's
and
what
then-
you said.
Well, there was also I know you said something else, but after the laugh, not regarding our current situation.
Norlai does interject. Big Brother is probably going to be a great knight one day.
I don't think that's how that works, because don't paladins have divine magic, not arcane? Your magic's arcane, right, Jade?
Mine?
Yes.
I don't think there's a classification for what we are. That's kind of the point. If I may elaborate. When Celine casts a spell of any sort, it is not her casting the spell, now is it? Yes, Celine. It is a gift given to you as enforced by Jazz, yes?
You could say that, yes.
Right, when you end up casting a spell, more often than not, it is a conjuring of the magics around you being able to weave it, much like one would do alchemy, except with this case it would be with spells. Through study and understanding, being able to end up weaving magic that is into what is desired. Is that
Well,
correct?
So sort of. I mean, the weave is all around us, and it's not like I'm really weaving things because only the most powerful wizards can do that. It's more like when I do it, it's more like just kind of tugging on a little thread to change the way the shape of things that are already there are. You're kind of along the same lines, yeah.
When I do it, it's not I who do it, and hence why I said that myself, and in this case your brother, is more akin to Celine in that regard. But it is not something that is given by the patron. The patron allows it. The individual who we have given our service to. But more accurate to say is that little tapestry that the weave, as Bright put it. This is more of a punch hole in it. Something else that is slid through. It is something that isn't supposed to be here, but needs to be in order to continue moving forward. To make sure that all this, as she points to the drawing that Celine ended up doing earlier, continues to turn. It's much like throwing a log on the fire to keep it going, to keep the warmth and to keep the embers.
So, you serve a patron who keeps all of the planes together with the way that they are.
You're close. Have you seen this bizarre machine? A wonderful thing called a clock.
Yes.
It's a fabulous contraption. Yes. Okay. Now, what I'm going to try and explain the scale of this. This, as she points to the map, is the smallest cog in a tower that is probably the size of Mesomasca. Mine is the one who keeps it going.
That sounds...
So when I say something must happen, it is not through any exaggeration or any degree of arrogance expecting that it is. That is how it must be because that's how it will be. You can no more change it than you can command the tide to not recede and grow. That is where I find strength. And that potentially is where your brother found strength. And he did so poking his nose in things he really shouldn't have.
Oh, Big Brother does get into trouble a lot, but I don't think he can really help it. That's why I gotta find him.
No, he can't help it no more than I can. Because we are continuing. That is why I continue. So this is why I am finding this moment, temporary as it may be, or perhaps permanent, I am unsure, somewhat unsettling. And where we're going, no more, or no less so. It is about to get very very unnerving in the near future. I would suggest we all rest a little longer. If you wish to end up continuing your seeking of Raphael, well, he knows where to find me. And if you wish to find him, I will aid you in such a way. But understand that we are heading to the shield, we are heading to the port. And we will continue on to your beloved monastery, Celine. Because that is where it all begins to fall.
Norlai is kind of shivering and sniffling as she's. I don't. You all talk a lot about things that I don't really get, and I kind of wonder. I'm kind of jealous because it sounds like you know so much, and me I don't even know where my magic comes from, and as she says that like a little fiery glow starts emitting like at the end of her. At the end of her finger, and then she's
Duck!
Get ducking!
as she kind of
I'm
like
short. I don't have to duck.
sniffles. No, you're pretty close. Yeah, you're on the ground already because you've been kind of working on your ritual during this. It's not really intensive. Okay. So a little firebolt kind of singes up and smacks into the wall as she sneezed and kind of oh, I'm sorry. And we'll go and try and like pat out. Yeah, the cabin's not on fire. It's not a raging inferno, especially because everything on the outside is pretty damp as well because of the spring rain. But she does kind of like panic and she's like, oh no, I can't do anything right, and I'm sick, and I don't even know where my magic comes from, and I just want my brother, and he's a knight, but he doesn't want me as a squire, and I don't. And she's just like getting into a tizzy before she's, oh.
No, when you find him, and you will, if you believe that I know as much as I do, then trust me, it is not a matter of if you find your brother. It is a when, and it's sooner than you may conceive.
Does that mean that you have powers to see into the future, Jade? You always
A
seem to know
future-
what must happen.
A future implies something that will be commencing. Let me ask you, when you're reading a book, are the events happening as you read it?
They're already recorded.
She smiles at you.
See, I don't agree.
I don't necessarily like that idea.
The world isn't a book. Books are things we can hold, and the world is something that's all around us. The future's not set. The only truth is what we make. There's no. I mean, sometimes
There
I
is no
see
fate
things.
but what we make for ourselves.
That's right. Sometimes I see things that are going to happen in the future, and they always happen so far. But I don't see everything that happens. I only see certain things, and not really all that often. And the point of me coming to Mesomasca is to try to find out how to change that so that I can either help things that are going to be bad, or make it so that I don't see them, and then nobody not going to happen.
Now this may be what's the term? Confirmation bias. But it would seem to me that more than one of us has read the book. Consider that, Mordecai. The only difference is some of us want to change the script. As if we could. Me?
That doesn't stop anyone from wanting to try.
Yes. But in the trying, they are completing their role in the
I
script.
have a book right here, and I change what's written in it every day. Should it be different?
On a similar note, Bright, you feel that the rituals, the summoning, the reformation here of Peggy Sue is nearing its completion.
Oh, okay.
Now for this, because you were able to recover the horn of Peggy Sue, and of course Peggy Sue became a unicorn because of everything that you collected from everyone else that was invested into her, and she just sort of continued to manifest. That being said, theoretically, she could have the potential to come back as any number of different creatures or kind of collections here. First things first, though, because especially we needed a little dash of wild magic in order to make this happen. Your ritual will conclude and the spell will go off. Without a hitch. However, that static has definitely been building up very slowly around you all.
Floofs are going to stand on end, and Jade just did them so nice, too.
So in this instance, you are in control of the manifestation of Peggy Sue, and you can choose how you would like her to form. As a cricket, as a frog, as the tiny unicorn that she was before.
I would like her to be a unicorn again. I really like the unicorn, and I feel like she didn't spend very much time as one, and I really liked it.
Okay.
Even though it wasn't what I asked for, I ended up really liking it after all.
Okay then. And so you all can watch as well, you were having a very interesting discussion about the nature of magic and where it comes from, how it works, and yet here, birthed before all of you is this tiny, tender little magical unicorn creature. a very chubby one at that.
She's round.
She is. I'm sorry. She's a very round unicorn.
So cute.
So glad you're back.
Who manifests
so
and nuzzles against Bright, and just sort of like looks around and takes in her surroundings.
So I'm so happy you're back and you're okay, and I hope it wasn't too bad getting smushed. I know that it must hurt, but I cast Enlarge Reduce.
Oh, okay. On yourself?
Oh, on her. Now I have a
Oh.
bigger.
Oh, gotcha. Alrighty. I need you to roll me a percentile, por favor.
Oh my god, that's beautiful.
Okay, what?
I need you to roll a percentile for me, please.
Oh, did I set it off?
Yes.
See what
An
happened.
84, huh? Oh, interesting. Okay. So you cast Enlarge Reduce, and
Oh, no.
Each of you here, so including Noralai and DJ, are going to take 1d10 necrotic damage,
Oh.
and you are going to see as your essence is drawn into Peggy Sue.
I guess that's only fair.
And she
No,
and
he's
she kind of
taking it
fluffs
back
up.
from when Jade did that to her.
That's right. Peggy Sue just sort of like, it's like, oh, nuzzle, kind of looks over to Jade like,
I have a tendency to kill things.
Oh, that could.
All right, roll the damage.
Oh, it's split into a.
It's not too bad.
Oh, that could have been a lot worse for me.
Am I
Does that happen to me too?
Rounding down for resistance, Maddie.
Resistance is
Resistance to necrotic damage. It's you have it and you always
up,
round down.
Oh, is it round down?
round down.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and do that. And let's see.
In D&D, like in 5th edition, unless it specifically says to round up, the rule is round down.
All right, so Jade, as this round unicorn, sort of like goes from nuzzling Bright, and your energies are all sort of absorbed into her as she starts growing. Well, I mean, she goes from like tiny to small, but now it's she's now Bright's hugging this pony, just turns its head as we did before, but for a moment it has like Bright's face on the unicorn body as it kind of gives you that look.
That's weird.
And
That's super weird.
And it goes back to nuzzling the ecstatic Bright.
Well, all's fair, I suppose. Jade kind of raises her fingers up to her nose as she realizes she's bleeding out the mouth and nose at this point. Gives it a taste and realizes it's like the blood has gone gangrenous. I do apologize. I will have to tidy up. If all's well, would you rather rest now, or would you rather go hunt for Raphael? We have a few hours to do so.
I think we should hunt for Raphael first. Just be big for a minute, so I want to get my hugs in. I think we should hunt for Raphael first, and then we can rest later. I mean, none of us are hurt that bad, although we're all hurt just a little bit worse than we used to be, which I'm really sorry about, by the way. I didn't know that was going to happen. But, look, she's sticking her tongue out.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know. I mean, we're also all a little tired from the fight, but if we wait...
I'm good.
Well, I believe the discussion here has been more than enough to constitute a short rest.
Yeah, it's a short rest.
Yeah, none of you were necessarily doing anything that was too extraneous. I mean, you might have been scratching your noodles a little bit, but I mean, I allowed the ritual to summon Peggy Sue to go on, and so you could have had a short rest during this conversation. If you want to go any longer, that'll be up to you. It is still cold and rainy. They're peeking out a window, or at least the remains of the couple that are left. The sky is still gray, with no end in immediate sight.
How are you doing, Celine?
I am
He's
I
little
am
again.
sore. I am very sore. So sore, in fact, that I am actually going to expend a 3rd level cure wounds into myself.
Okay.
If you want
Could
hit
use,
dice, I can
yeah,
play
you could
Song
use
of
hit
Rest.
dice.
It's Song of Rest.
I suppose, yeah, it is a rest, so yeah, we can hit dice. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'll hit dice instead, I think.
Save your spell slots.
Yeah. Save your spell slots.
2, 27. 32. 36.
Oh, and Mordecai's gonna sing,
40.
right?
Yeah, I was gonna do my violin.
Okay. Oh, hey. Hey, and you know what? You got DJ in on this, too. So you all can be making some sweet music together here in this cabin on a rainy day.
In fact, Jade goes so far as to end up offering a bit of her rations. Now, when she ends up offering it towards whoever's the first taker, let's pick on somebody. Celine, you end up seeing, and there's this roach trying to crawl out from between the two pieces of bread, while a centipede is like half trapped and coiling up over her fingers, and she ends up offering it to you.
I'm good, Jade. I'm not very hungry at the moment.
Celine, please
we
eat
have
the damn
18
cracker.
Just you, I'm good. I'm not hungry. I promise you that I am not hungry.
Celine, I
I got
understand.
set on fire. I got set on fire. Being set on fire does not make you hungry. Trust me.
No, but you need your strength.
That's alright.
Consider this an exercise of trust. You've never eaten what I eat, have you?
It's
No.
a little off-putting because not a lot of us have bugs in our diet.
Yes. It's not that it doesn't look. Yeah, it's a cultural thing. Exactly. It's a cultural thing. It's just I am not very.
You know
hungry
what?
at the
It's at this point I am going to invoke something because you are forcing. Would you please roll a? Would you please roll a wonderful bit of save? I know it's
I
likely
don't-
you're going to do it, but
There isn't a save there. It's for the duration you have advantage on. Yeah, no, it's for the duration you have advantage on all charisma checks directed at one creature of your choice that isn't hostile.
Yeah, so it's not magical compulsion, but you definitely are. You're,
So I mean, if
you're
you
using
if
your
you
own
want to roll up
skills,
a
but you're
swing,
better at it.
you
wanna
wouldn't
roll
want
up-
to hurt my feelings, would you?
so I mean, you can roll a persuasion at advantage to try and convince her to do it.
I figured I'd keep the dice out of it, but all right.
Yeah, no, it's like, please no.
I say 15 is pretty good.
Um,
It's not exactly poisonous or harmful.
I'm letting you two
Celine's like-
arbitrate this.
Celine's like, okay.
Celine, when you bite down on this, I want you to remember this portion. It is fantastic.
I did not know that was a thing.
Huh.
Celine's like, it seems that I have misjudged your diet all this time, Jade, and for that, I'm sorry. Actually, she turns to Mordecai. She's like, you should actually try this.
She ends up
Something that you should be aware about, Celine. I don't know that I've told you this, but I don't produce saliva anymore.
well, if that's
It would
But, I
be
mean,
kind of
that-
a going
that's-
down.
if that's the case, she ends up taking a small bit of bread and what appears to be some salted meat, and this seems to be like a small ant colony of some kind growing in it, and offers it to Bright.
Carrion. So I can't.
So
I
are
can't
they.
eat
So
this.
you have something in common.
No, there's no transitive vegetarian property still. I'm really sorry. I can't eat it. Maybe Norlai would like it.
I'm not gonna force her. I'm gonna let her have that experience for herself. Since she's not here.
I'll say Norlai is pretending to be asleep. Now, how well she pretends, but yeah, if you want to say that interaction for Darkwolf, then I'm fine with that.
It's at this point she will end up approaching the door. The rain ends up continuing, and with that, I am going to invoke the fates one last time. Jade is going to walk into the rain. Let's see if it blows up in her face first.
You good?
She's good. And as she walks, you notice she's not getting wet. Like she there's this prim, proper. Everything just seems sewn together a little bit closer. Everything's neater, very clean, and she just starts to walk through the rain, ready to end up going to hunt down Raphael. The rain does not touch her.
I will modify this slightly, as we're coming up to a point where I want to take like a 10-minute break for anyone who needs a drink, a snack, or to use the restroom. You're casting your spell. You're solidifying yourself for what you say that is going to happen. You approach the door, very prim and proper as per your minor illusion is allowing, and you go to reach for the door, and boom, the door slams in. Gust of wind and a spray of water, which, by the way, doesn't seem to affect you because of your minor illusion. And there's a figure in the doorway. And this is where we're going to take a 10-minute break and come back.
Gasp.
So, I have, I have 12:54 a.m., so I guess we're going to come back at 1:05 a.m., and then we'll have you for about an hour, correct, Lethality?
Yes.
Okay. And then we'll see what happens in this hour. But let's take 10 minutes and do what we got to do, and we're going to come back.
All right.
BRB.